Or you as a real estate person can all at once.
Okay, Liz, it's 9:30. We can get started.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this May 9th, 2022. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that calling users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comments on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure thing. Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Barnes? Ms. Faith?
Yes, present.
Ms. Britt?
Present.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. Did Ms. Barnes say she was not coming today, or?
I haven't heard anything from her yet.
Okay, so we'll hold off, but just to let everyone know, if it ends up being that we do only have 3 members, you are allowed to ask for a postponement when we have a full complement of board members, which is never, because we only have 4 right now, but we normally have 4 and now we have 3. So just wanted to let anyone know that. So when your case is called and you feel like you want more than 3 members, then let us know. We can postpone your case.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, we do have a new member coming in a few weeks, I think at the end of June.
Yes, I know, but she's not here today. So
Well, I didn't want people to think that it's forever because it's coming soon. Coming soon.
Madam Chair, Maurice Rollins, City Planning. I also like to point out that we have Councilman Harsh on the WebEx today.
okay, well,
And
we will
I think
start with.
I think that's the only council person I see.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman Harsh's case. Once we get past everything else. Liz, any postponements or withdrawals today? None. All right.
Oh, man.
Okay. All right, Ms. Faith, we'll start with Councilman Harsh's case.
Great. So just to let everyone know, as a courtesy, when we have council people present, we take their cases to the top of the agenda in the order in which they arrive and become present. So today we'll begin with calendar number 22-017. This is at 3313 Roanoke Avenue. This case was postponed from March 7th, 2022. B.R. Canez, owner, proposes to erect a 20-foot by 40-foot, 2-story frame single-family residence with a detached garage in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Of note, the second postponement was made at the request of B.R. Canez to allow time to work out setback issues. The first postponement was made at the request of the board to allow time for the appellant to work with city planning on the front setback issue. And with that, to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Good morning. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply I do, state your name and your address.
I do. Gillian Hall, 755 Friedel Drive, Suite 210, Concord, Ohio, 44077.
I do. Jamie Lucas Bauer, Old Brooklyn Community Development Corporation, 4274 Pearl Road.
I do. Chris Harsh, City Council, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
I do. Matthew Moss, Cleveland City Planning Commission.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Sorry about that, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. There are no variances on file, and in 2010, we found a permit was issued to demolish a 2.5-story single-family dwelling on the property. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the front yard setback and side yard regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Please note that section 329.04C1 may limit the board's ability to grant the requested front yard setback variance.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, before we get started, Maurice, my least favorite topic.
We were not able to work out the setbacks for this particular property. And I believe we got a communication from Canez that they just wanted to go ahead and get the other variances approved. Is that correct? Ms. Hall?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, now we can.
Sorry about that. No, we did meet with Matt and Old Brooklyn last week, and we'd like to pursue a mapped setback for the front yard setback. So we're going to ask if we can remove that as a variance request, but we would like to move forward with our interior side yard setback because we intend to build the same unit.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and present your case.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Gillian Hall. My address is 7555 Friedel Drive, Suite 210, Concord, Ohio, 44077. It's been a while since I've been here, so good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone again. But we have been working with Old Brooklyn on several lots in their area. We have 2 under construction right now on Searsdale. So we, as everyone's aware, we build similar product types throughout the city of Cleveland. They're very well received by all of our customers. So we were trying to build the similar product type over here and not recreate a new product type, especially with pricing that we have. It's much easier for our trades to build something that they've done before. So we're requesting an interior side yard variance. The minimum required is 10, and that's based on the height of the home. We're proposing 5. We've had similar variances requested in the past, and we typically set up the house so that it's laid out with 5 feet on either side. So it's something that we've asked for before, and we'd ask for you to grant again. And we will be working with the council person on the map setback. We're trying to schedule a meeting in the next couple of weeks to review that.
Okay, I will go to the CDC. Jamie?
Hi, thank you. We do support this variance for the setback, and as Gillian indicated, I am working on setting up a meeting with them, us, and Matt Moss and Councilman Harsh, so we can figure out how to do this mapped setback. So we are in support of this project.
All right, thank you. Matt Moss?
I'm sure I just shared that we reviewed these for design and recommended approval based on the design. Given the context of the street, the setbacks here are all over the place in terms of the front yard. So we're going to work with them and the councilman to figure out the right solution here.
Great. Okay, Councilman Harsh?
Yeah, you're going to go 3 for 3 on this. I support the variance on the side setback, and we're going to have a conversation. We're inking that right now to figure out the setback issue along for these houses, but I support the side yard variance as well.
Great. Well, I appreciate everyone coming together to at least get these few that we can grant together. If everyone knows that doesn't know me, front yard setbacks are the bane of my existence. I hate when we have to see them because most of the time we can't do anything about them. So I thank you for trying to resolve the issue. I will open it up to my board if they have any questions or concerns.
Looks like we have no comments from my fellow board members, so I'll go ahead with the motion, Madam Chair. We're looking at variance number 2 on our agenda. We have, as Councilman Harsh stated, we are 3 for 3 with support of this variance with the CDC, City Planning, and the councilman himself. So with that, I move that we approve the variance for the interior side yard setback.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 22-017 is granted. We'll ratify it next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great days.
Good luck.
All right, next case.
Okay, it looks like we have no other council people present, so we'll loop back to the top of the agenda, which is calendar number 22 dash 056. This is at 3713 Payne Avenue. Brian Ing, owner, proposes to establish use as a cafe in a C3 local retail business district and a live work overlay district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address.
I do. Brian Ing, 1560 East 38th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44114.
I do. Kim Scott, City Planning, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
I do. Jeremy Taylor, St. Clair Superior Development Corporation. My address is 1161 East 60th Street.
Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. In 2002, it was changed to the local retail business district and the live work overlay district. In our records administration office, I didn't find any records for this address. There are no variances on file for this address, but I did find in 2018, a permit was opened for interior exterior alterations for a cafe that would be named Ice or Rice. But that application status was stated as permit closed. And that is all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the off-street parking regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you. I would assume, Mr. Ing, you will be speaking for this case?
Yes, sir. I would say
Okay, go ahead.
this property is located on the corner, the northwest corner of Payne Avenue and East 38th Street. It's true that I don't have a parking lot, but I think it's also true that there's plenty of free street parking available along Payne and along East 38th Street. In fact, I live on East 38th Street. I live on the same block as the building I own. And pretty much everyone here has a driveway and a garage. So even when people do park in front of our houses, we don't mind because it doesn't bother us from parking there. And even in the past, when there's a big event in town, like when we used to have the Cleveland Flea, it was located at Tyler Village, pretty much Superior and East 38th Street. Those occasions is when the streets, there'd be people parking on the streets, sidewalks all over the neighborhood, including East 38th Street, my street. But it didn't bother me or everyone that lived on the street because we all have driveways. So I think it's very easy to allow people to park on this street, and it would not bother the people that live here at all.
All right, thank you. Can you just give us a quick blurb on what the business is and what your hours would be?
The business would be a small restaurant. I call it a cafe because it's a small restaurant. The hours would be, it'd be 11 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
And that every day or?
Probably take one day off. I'm guessing Monday.
Yeah, you should take at least one day off. Okay. So Tuesday through Sunday. Okay. All right. I will, Mr. Taylor from the CDC.
Thank you. Yeah, we don't object to this project. We're connected. I connected Brian with Councilwoman Stephanie House. I'm honestly, this is my first BZA meeting, so I'm learning kind of the process here. But I do think it's consistent with the district. I think that it's great that we have a resident who's seeking to improve the neighborhood through a local business with jobs and just vibrancy. So I'm kind of just we do not object to this variance.
All right, thank you. Ms. Scott from City Planning.
Okay, there I am. Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. City Planning supports the variance for the parking allowance. This is a relatively walkable area with the exit of the Daves just down the street. It is important to have small businesses in the neighborhood serving the residents as well as visitors to the area. And so City Planning supports the variance. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else need to speak for this case? All right, I'll turn it over to the board.
Madam Chair, to Ms. Kukla, did we get any communication from the councilman? Councilperson? No?
No, we did not.
All right. So, and welcome to CDC Director Taylor. Just saw the announcement of your appointment. So welcome to both of them. So with that said, Madam Chair, we have the support of the CDC. We have the support of City Planning. It seems that it's a nice addition to the neighborhood. And there is plenty of street parking available in that area. So I move that we go ahead and approve the variance for calendar number 22-056.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Vaith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 22-56 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter. Thank you.
Mr. Ng, when do you plan to open?
Well, hopefully we could have this go smoothly because the contractor is ready to go once I get my building permit. So, but with everything taking time, I would say hopefully Halloween. I could have a Halloween grand opening.
Okay, great. Well, we'll look forward to it. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, moving along. Are we, Maurice, are we hearing these two cases together or are these separate?
They have slightly different variances, so probably do them separately.
Okay, thank you. So calendar number 22-058 at 2502 Thurman Street. Red Hawk North LLC owner proposes to erect a 4-story frame single-family townhouse residence with an attached garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Of note is number 4, which states that City Planning Commission approval is required prior to issuance of a building permit. And with that, to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do, Michael Horton, 812 Huron Road East, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do, Matthew Moss, Cleveland City Planning Commission.
I do, Byron Bonamici, Red Hawk North,
1292 North Howard, Akron, Ohio.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 1985, it was changed to the current two-family residential district. In our Records Administration Office, I found that in 1890, a permit was issued to erect a 1.5-story dwelling. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history found in our Acela system, that in 2008, there was a violation notice issued regarding illegal storage of hazardous materials. In 2013, a certificate of disclosure was issued stating that the use of the property was vacant lot at the time. That's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the permitted side yard encroachment, required rear yard, maximum gross floor area, minimum lot area, and minimum lot width regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Mr. Horton, I'm assuming you're the spokesperson for this case?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Michael Horton with Horton Harper Architects. We have two projects. I'll try and speak globally about both of them during this presentation, but of course we can go back and reference one or the other. The two, we're proposing two single-family houses on the parcel that was just introduced. In the front, we have a 3-story single-family house with a 2-car garage. In the rear, we have a 3-story single-family house with a 2-car garage. These have been planned in tandem with the development that is to the right, that is not part of this presentation, but they were reviewed, evaluated, and designed as kind of one cohesive project. So the two homes both face Thurman Avenue or Thurman Street, depending on which records you're looking at. And the rear house is accessed via a 10-foot wide drive that allows for off-street parking for the dwelling unit in the rear. The area variances relate to the footprint of the house relative to the size of the parcel, as well as the rear yard setbacks for both units. Once the parcel is split, neither of those rear yard setbacks conform to the zoning code. So this plan that you're looking at here was actually the first plan that we showed to the neighborhood back in December of 2021 to get their overall feedback on the project. And there weren't any glaring concerns at that time. And so we continue to move forward and present the project to the Planning Commission, not only for lot split and consolidation. So they have reviewed that, and their primary feedback was to ensure that there are access easements to allow the homeowners of the rear house to legally access that drive, which we, of course, those will be in place. If we can go to the next slide, I'll try and go quickly so we can get to, so we can just kind of go through these quickly. This is more of just our massing analysis that we did for the site because we have townhouses. As you can see to the left and to the right, and the Thurman Square development will be sitting in between our two developments. We can just kind of toggle through the next 5 slides somewhat quickly. Go to the next one, and the next, and the next, up until we get to a site plan. Okay, And so those massing arrangements allowed us to understand how to articulate the exterior building. They're not necessarily zoning related, so I just wanted to kind of walk through them quickly. You can see the new site plan in terms of its setbacks, its rear yard and side yard. It was the same as what we presented to the Block Club in December. You can see that we do need an air conditioner on the side yard for the front unit. We would have the air conditioner in the rear yard for 2504. And all of the subsequent slides are imagery of either the exterior elevations or any three-dimensional photorealistic renderings to give you an idea of what the project will look like. And we can kind of go through those somewhat quickly. Okay.
You just show quickly where the air conditioner and the side yard is going to be. I think I saw
Sure.
it, but I wasn't
Yeah,
able to
so
zoom in.
if you kind of
See it
look,
to the front.
absolutely. It's not shaded in as it should be, but there it is right there.
Okay.
Okay. So it's to the left and to the rear. And we kind of need it on that side because it won't fit to the right where we'd have the access drive. And because we have a pretty nice buffer between our southern property line and the townhouses to the south, we don't feel that will be any kind of, encumbrance in any way.
Yeah. How many feet is that from where you're proposing to the neighbor?
I'd say it's approximately 15 feet.
Oh yeah, that's plenty of room. Okay. Thank you.
And then you can kind of see here, we have a summary of both of the variances for both of the projects. If there's any questions about them, I think that the 2504 in the rear has the variance that states that accessory parking, there's no accessory parking. I mean, there's 2 spaces in the garage. And I think that was cited because technically there's no access to it, but we would of course have an access easement with the driveway. And so we did present to the Block Club again, and I'm not sure if anyone from the neighborhood or if there was a letter here, but the project will be under review by HDRS tomorrow morning, actually. Those are some of the townhouses, but you can see they're all consistent in their massing and their materiality. And then we just have some floor plans for the units if they're needed for any questions. I would answer any questions about the project.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Bonamici?
I think Mike Horton said it all. Mike, I don't know if we mentioned the Tremont group had approved the project as well. I don't know if we said it.
Yeah, we did present in front of Tremont West Economic Development Committee last week, and they made a motion to approve the project. Even though the Block Club, when we came the second time around, did not vote favorably for it, but after we conveyed to them that we did go to the Block Club with the exact same project 6 months earlier, and they understood that we gave everyone notice, and we went in front of the Block Club before we went to Planning Commission, and before we went to HDRS and the neighborhood. So the neighborhood voted to approve the project because of that, if that makes sense.
All right, thank you. Matt Boss?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the appellant stated, we will be reviewing this at our design review meeting tomorrow. Just based on the scheduling, we weren't able to get it in before the BZA hearing, but I've taken a preliminary review of this plan as well as the other plan.
Matt, you try and talk, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear him. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll continue. Well, what I mean to say is that we feel pretty confident that the design will not be affected by granting the variances today. And I think the appellant understands that if for whatever reason the design approval requires a change to the site plan, that they would come back to BZA. But that said, the variance is being requested. Even if this lot wasn't being split, it would not conform to the minimum width or the minimum square footage requirements. So any house built here would, under our current code, will require variances such as these. I think the site plan itself is being mainly driven by these constraints, as well as the need to provide accessory off-street parking. So that's why you're really seeing the site plan you see today in regards to particularly the rear yard variance. It'd be impossible, I think, for them to comply with that 40-foot now as it's split, especially, and still provide other parts of the code as required, such as parking and generally the needs the need to provide that as demanded by the housing market. So with that said, we support the variances as requested.
All right, thank you, Matt. I'll open it up to the board for any questions.
Madam Chair, I have 2 questions. I'm curious about the concerns expressed from the Block Club, separate from this, Tremont West, or whatever the name is today. And then my second question is, please describe what is Thurman Square, the development that will be in the middle, and is that being presented by the same developer or someone else?
Sure, I can answer those questions. I'll start with the Thurman Square. The Thurman Square is not a project that is being presented by the developers of this project, or say of our project. But because that project has been in front of the Planning Commission and it's being reviewed under the Townhouse Code, we did have access to those plans. So we incorporated, we took the proposed design for Thurman Square into consideration when evaluating and establishing the site plan for the projects that you see on the left and the right. And so our goal was to still allow for not only our development, but the development at Thurman Square to have access to views and natural light, and trying to, and we also used that project to try and establish a consistent massing along the street without necessarily replicating their design. So we kind of used it as a way to inform our project, but we're in no way associated with it. As far as the feedback from the Block Club, there was a conversation at the Block Club about the project, and there were questions about whether the buildings could be moved, whether the driveways could connect to the existing driveway that you really can't see to the left or to the south of the 2 single-family houses, because they have an access drive that services those townhouses. There were questions about snow pile maintenance, questions about accessory parking, and there were concerns about the height of the project relative to neighbors' backyards. What would they be seeing outside of their, out of their windows when they look in their backyard, because it would, it would impact views or light. Because of those concerns, it was an anonymous vote, so we didn't necessarily know who voted for or against it. And so we couldn't really address any questions after the vote. But what we did do, we presented the site plans 5 months earlier in December. It was the exact same site plan with the exact same project. And so because we went in front of the Block Club at that time and gave them an opportunity to weigh in, because that feedback did not come to us at our first Block Club presentation, we continued moving forward with the project. And so this was discussed at the Tremont West Economic Development meeting as to maybe why there was a vote not to approve the project the second time around. But it was the opinion of the neighborhood Tremont West Economic Development, that if the block club had those opinions, or they wanted to give that kind of feedback, it was necessary for them to give that feedback at our first presentation, which we didn't get any of that feedback. So we still don't really know explicitly what their primary concerns were, because it was an anonymous vote. I hope that helps to clear up. But we based our setbacks for the 2 single-family houses based on the setbacks that are established by the townhouse code for the project that's on the right. So, for example, we have an allowable rear yard setback for the two-family townhouses of 7 feet. Therefore, we wanted to establish a rear yard setback for the single-family house of 7 feet or more, and our setback is actually 10 feet. So it's actually, I would say, less imposing than not only the townhouses that we're working on currently, but also the Thurman Square development. So we used the townhouse code as kind of a minimum standard for the smaller single-family houses.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any more questions from the board?
Madam Chair, after seeing the presentation and reviewing the variances, I'm wondering if you would like me to read the second case and into the record, and that we could motion and vote on them as a package, since they're they're a tandem lot, or would you like to keep them separate?
Well, we're kind of far in now, so we might as well just vote on this one and then take the next one.
Sure. Okay, well, with that in mind, and to Mr. Horton, did you say that you have the easement taken care of for the driveway and the 2 parcels, or is that still pending?
I believe that's still pending. It works in tandem. Typically, the surveyors and engineers and the attorneys working on that language. It usually happens after BZA approval to ensure that property lines aren't going to move any further and building footprints aren't going to move any further. So it's certainly in process. But Byron, if you have any additional feedback on that, feel free to share it.
Yeah, as Mike said, we're just waiting to make sure that the buildings don't move, and then the property lines, building plans, and grading plan will all be implemented afterwards with the easements as well.
Right. Madam Chair, do you feel the need to make that a condition?
No.
Okay, great. With all that then, we on calendar number 22-058, we have support from the city planning, and I am, having done a project for a client on Thurman years ago, I am more than aware of the tightness and the constraints of the lots in that area. And so with support that we've heard from today, Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and approve the variance for calendar number 23-058.
Member Brown, I second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Sorry. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Veit?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 22-58 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and after that, we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, we
Okay.
can do the other Thurman, and we shouldn't have as many questions because we got them all answered for this first one. So
Exactly.
go ahead.
This should go very quickly.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-059. This is at 2504 Thurman Avenue. Red Hawk North LLC owner proposes to erect a 4-story single-family townhouse with attached garage in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Again, item number 5 states that City Planning Commission approval is required prior to issuance of a building permit. And I believe we have all parties sworn in, so I think we can move on.
Yeah, we can just go to the history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The history is similar to the last case. Originally, the property was zoned general retail. In 1929 and 1985, it was changed to two-family residential. And in 1890, a permit was issued to erect a 1.5-story dwelling. There are violation notices issued for the property in 2008 regarding illegal storage. In 2013, there was a certificate of disclosure issued stating that the use of the property is vacant. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the front yard setback, required rear yard, parking, maximum gross floor area, minimum lot area, and minimum lot width regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Please note that section 329.04C1 may limit the board's ability to grant the requested front yard setback variance.
All right. Okay, so do we have anything about this front yard setback? I believe this might be the only issue here.
Madam Chair, I think
this is
Ms. Riccardi. Go ahead, Liz.
Madam Chair, this is a rear lot. So it is a different situation. And I guess Mr. Riccardi, if he's here, could expand on that.
Yes, there is a requirement of all yard requirements apply even when you have a house in the back. So the relevant ordinance that restricts your ability to grant front setbacks would not apply in this case.
All right, that's all I needed to hear. Thank you, Mr. Riccardi.
Okay.
All right, so we've heard about the first Thurman House. So Mr. Horton, if you can just touch on what we did not apply for the first house in this case, please.
Sure, absolutely. The information for 2504, I think the general history and the overview of our process is the same. And so I don't think there is anything additional to add. We already mentioned the variance about that there's no access to parking, but we will have the easement, so we will have access. The minimum lot area variance is standard, as mentioned earlier by Mr. Moss and myself. And we already did discuss the issue with the rear yard variance. So I don't think I have anything additional to add on this particular property unless you have any additional questions.
All right, great, thank you. Matt, do you have anything else you want to add for this one?
I do not, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to answer any questions though.
Great, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, for all the reasons that we've heard previously and the support that we've heard previously, and this is part of a tandem lot project, I move that we go ahead and approve the variances for 22-059.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
I second.
Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Madam Chair, do we want a copy of the easement before we ratify it next week?
I don't want to make it a condition, but yeah, we should definitely have a copy for the record. I think they can't move forward without it anyway, so.
Okay, so we would grant this case conditionally based upon the access easement agreement and a copy being submitted before ratification?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. for Madam Chair and Ms. Kukla. With that conditional approval, will that still allow us to submit the project for permit review? Typically, the easements occur, the writing of the easements occur during that time frame, but obviously the permit can't be approved until the plats are split. Just kind of curious. We just want to understand the sequencing of our submissions based on that conditional approval.
Madam Chair, to that question, is there any language at all? Are there deeds being written up regarding the lot split? Is there something that you could submit possibly that hasn't been signed final yet?
Byron, would you be able to weigh in on that?
No, there's no draft ready yet. I don't know how soon we'd be able to get something like that ready, probably within 2-3 weeks. The issue is when we record the plat at the county, the easements will be on the plat. So it'll be done at the same time. And what I would ask is that, we can't get the permit until the lot is split and the easements would be recorded at the same time. And so I would just ask that we were bureaucratically would be able to move through the process of having the buildings reviewed instead of waiting for the ratification. I'd be happy to submit the plat, but it is already a requirement to get the permits themselves for both of these projects.
If I may add one more note, and to speak maybe more so in terms of the process within the building department, we just want to ensure that we're able to, the Excel system will allow us to submit the permit drawings in advance of the easement. We understand that the permits may not be able to be approved, but we just want to be able to submit them for review, if that makes sense.
Madam Chair, of course, we could grant this conditionally with the understanding that an access easement agreement would be issued with the permit. Just to Mr. Riccardi, could you verify what Mr. Byron stated, that that a permit won't be issued until the access easement agreement is part of the application, or how does that work once it goes over to building and housing?
I mean, if you're talking about the lot split, we will not, we do not grant the permit unless the lot split occurs. So to hold it in BZA for the lot split is kind of redundant in that regard. That's correct. For the easement, if there's language that it's required by this body, then we will also look for that before granting the permit, of course.
Does that sound to you, Madam Chair?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'm okay with that. I feel like this is a full-fledged, development here, so I don't think anything's going to slip through the cracks, so that's fine.
Okay, Madam Chair, we will grant this conditionally based upon testimony that an access easement agreement will be provided between the two addresses of 2502 and 2504 Thurman, if that's all right.
That's fine.
All right. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 22-59 is granted conditionally. We'll ratify it next week, and after that, we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Yes, thank you, members of the board. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right,
More
moving on.
More Red Hawk.
That's right.
I'm not going anywhere.
All right. So on to 22-060. This is at 2321 West 40th Street. Red Hawk North LLC owner proposes to erect a single-family residence with an attached garage in a B1 two-family residential area. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one.
I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address.
I do. Byron Bonamici, Red Hawk North, 1292 North Howard Street, Akron, Ohio.
Chandra Williams. Williams.
I do. Matthew Moss, Cleveland City Planning Commission.
I do. Alan Shawn, 2306 West 38th Street, Cleveland.
Heights, Ohio.
I can't hear you. Who's that that just spoke?
Chandra Williams. I'm at 974 Cleveland Heights. I'm the owner of a lot at 2332 West 40. I was invited to the meeting regarding the development.
Okay, Chandra Williams. I got that right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, we found in 2021, a permit was issued to demolish a 2.5-story dwelling unit on the property. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the minimum distance to the property line regulation of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right. Thank you. Is this your show, Mr. Bonamici?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. So this is a pretty standard house. We built it several times before in the neighborhood. That is not the correct address. That's not the model we're building there, Liz. Or Maurice, sorry. Maurice is running it.
Yeah, I'm just noticing that. Let me see if I can find that.
You go ahead and describe it while he's trying to find that, Byron.
Sure. It's a 20 by 40 foot house. Again, it's pretty standard. It's got a front porch. And like I said, we built several models of this throughout the same neighborhood. This lot is a little weird. We were trying to do a dual development for the street, not across the street, but the street adjacent. But unfortunately, that fell through. So it's got a nice big backyard. Once we're able to pull up the site plan here, you'll be able to see it does have a detached garage. It's tucked away behind the adjacent property. Just because of the way the lot is shaped. Again, you'll see that when we're able to get it up there. But the issue is the northern side yard. So we have an 8-foot driveway and the house is 20 feet. So we had 2 feet for the northern side yard from the wall. The variance states that it's 8 inches, based on the fact that something new that I haven't encountered before, but they're measuring that from the eaves of the house. So the eaves, you know, it goes out 16 inches. And that includes the gutter and the overhang from the wall of the house. So the wall of the house is 2 feet from the north property line. And I understand that that would still be a variance, but the variance states 8 inches
There you go.
because of the eaves. Yeah, so if we're able to zoom in on this,
So is this north side is what's next to it a driveway?
correct. It is
Okay.
next to a driveway.
Okay.
And then we have our driveway on the south side, which is also adjacent to a driveway. And then as you can see, the garage is tucked away. Because of the funkiness of the lot, we didn't have an area variance, which if that large back portion of it didn't exist, we probably would have gotten the area variance. But we don't have to deal with that. So really it's, like I said, it's a pretty standard house, got a nice front porch, setback, big backyard. The only thing is that northern property line. The air conditioner is in the rear, so no issues there. You can't see it on the site plan right here, but it is on the grading plan. So
That closeness would freak me out a little bit more if that was a house next door, but it's next to a driveway, so
and
yeah.
we did have approval from the Block Club. I believe they submitted a letter or had told us they were going to. And then the CDC was unfortunately a little discombobulated because Donna's still out. But like I said, we had full support from the Block Club, and they were okay with it because, you know, it is close to a driveway and it's a nice big lot. We're not trying to cram other residences in there, so that's what we're asking for.
All right, thank you. Alan, did you want to speak?
No, I was looking for more details, and what I've heard so far has assuaged any concerns I may have had.
Oh, great, thank you. Ms. Williams?
Oh, I just had a question regarding the building. Would that affect if I wanted to build a house on my lot? Would that cram the space?
You're kind of breaking up. Did you comprehend that at all, Maurice?
No, it broke up for me as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let me try that again. My concerns was if I wanted to build on my property, would that affect it? Would it cram the space?
Where's your property in direction to this?
Actually, it's 2330. So I don't even know why they sent me the letter, just to inform me that the property was,
Yeah, so if your property's in a certain closeness to the property and that's being in the case today, you'll get a notice to let you know that this is what's going on. So
Okay.
if you have concerns about this project, then you know that's your chance to voice them now. But if you don't have any concerns, no, you don't have to say anything.
no, I don't have, it's kind of close to do it.
Okay.
If I may, Madam Chair, I just would ask if Ms. Williams, we do own one of the lots across the street. So if you want to chat me your contact information, we can discuss, you know, just to make sure that we don't end up mixing things up. But I believe your property is across the street, so I don't think it would be affected by this one. But if you want to chat me your info, just in case, we can collaborate later in case anything does come up.
I could do that.
Yeah, Ms. Williams, that's Byron Bonamici, so make sure you privately chat him so that the whole world doesn't have your contact information, because it's a public meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Matt Moss.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We reviewed this home, and this is probably a good example of why we have Board of Zoning Appeals for situations like this. So, well, we reviewed the new house and recommended approval on it, given the constraints of this site, the lot, and the context of where it is adjacent to a driveway. We feel the variance is appropriate in this case, given, again, all the other factors, the need for driveway access to the back lot, and generally just the constrained nature of the lot requiring this kind of condition.
All right, thank you. All right, board, any questions?
I don't have any.
All right, I entertain a motion.
Okay, Madam Chair, given testimony from Red Hawk North LLC, Mr. Bonavucci, testimony from Matt Moss, and what sounds like approval from the CDC and the block clubs based on what Mr. Bonamucci has stated. It is an unusual lot, and but with driveways flanking, that certainly impacts the relationship of the house to the setbacks. So with all that being said, I move that we go ahead and approve calendar number 22-060.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead and call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Spade?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar, I'm missing this, sorry, 22-060 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and after that, we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, Maurice, we're actually going to go to the London Road case next.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to calendar number 21-175. This case was postponed from March 7th, 2023. This is at 780 London Road. Edward Davis, owner, proposes to establish a barber/beauty shop on a parcel located on a local retail business district and a multifamily retail district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. And of note, the first postponement was made at the request of the councilman to allow more time for community review. The second postponement was made at the request of the city to allow time for the land bank parcel to be transferred. And the third postponement was made by the board due to lack of quorum on April 18th. With that, to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do. My name is Edward Davis. Address 780 London Road, Cleveland, Ohio 44110.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Okay, history of the property, please.
780 London Road.
Oh, no, not you, Mr. Davis. We have some other things we have to go through first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The property was originally zoned to general retail in 1929. In 1950, it was changed to local retail business. In 1919, a permit was issued to build a structure with a store and one suite. There's one variance on file in calendar 80-235 in 1980. a variance was granted to change use of the downstairs storefront/tavern to a residence, resulting in 2 residential units in the property. And then in the more recent history in our Acela system, we found that in 2011, there was a permit issued to board up side and interior doors. In 2017, a residential registration renewal was issued. And then in August of last year, a certificate of disclosure was issued stating that the authorized use is as 3 dwelling units. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the off-street parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Davis, your earlier postponements were due to having a community meeting and the land bank transfer. Have those 2 things happened?
No, the transfer hasn't went through yet because I was waiting on the land bank. They had a longer wait than I expected, so it was approved, but I'm just waiting on the things to transfer and go through.
Okay. And you have not had a community meeting either?
No.
What's the reason behind that?
They didn't explain to me or tell me I had to have a community meeting with anyone. I just talked to I've been talking to someone downtown in the city hall that's been helping me with the steps, but they did not tell me I had to have a community meeting, or I wasn't
Okay.
informed of that.
Well, Liz, who postponed the case to do the community meeting?
Madam Chair, I have a record that Councilman Polensek requested. Oh no, I'm looking at Roanoke. I believe he just wanted him to speak to the community, not necessarily have a community meeting. So I can double check and see if I have a letter from the councilman. I don't remember getting one.
So that was per the council, that was per the councilman's request. That's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
There we go.
And I wasn't informed about that at all.
Okay, well, tell us what you want to do here. Go ahead, present your case.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to open up a barber shop. The thing that I had, it was, about the parking. So I applied for the lot, and I'm just waiting for them to go through with the lot. And, I can't start any work until I can get approved to work on the barber shop or building. So I don't know what's the next step that I have to do. But
So
I would
you
like to
have
get- I
you
would
have
like to get
ownership.
approved.
Yeah,
I
so
would
you
like
have
to get approved.
ownership. Hold on. So you have ownership
Yeah.
of the building, and then there is a lot next door or behind it that you're trying to acquire through land bank for parking.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Maurice. You read my mind there. Okay. All right, so you have not started on any work on the building, correct? Or you have started work?
No, because they told me, I wasn't approved yet due to the parking.
Okay, Liz, I'm a little confused by this. I feel like he can still pull a permit for interior work without having to have parking. So I don't know if this is ready to come to us right now. So Mr. Davis, you were told that you can't even work on the building part without having parking?
It wasn't approved to be a barber shop until I was able to have parking.
So we have all right, so we have two things here. We need to review to actually approve you making this space a barber shop. And then secondly, there's the parking issue. Is that correct, Liz?
Well, Madam Chair, they cannot get the use without having the proper amount of parking.
Okay, so these are, it's
At this
gingerly linked.
time,
Okay,
right. So either he should have well, it's up to the board. The board could grant it. They could grant it without parking. The board could grant it pending the transfer of the land bank to the property owner. We could, you could you could grant it with the understanding that the transfer is going to take place. From what I heard from Ms. Garrett in the community development, it's very close to being transferred. It's gone through a couple of reviews, and there's been no objection so far.
Okay.
So I do have the letter from the councilman on November 28th stating that let me get to the part. BZA appeals noticed that the appellant does not have parking or and the appellant has stated that there's limited on-street parking, or conditions show that there's limited on-street parking. In the addition, the appellant had never contacted the councilman's office regarding this, and he is not sure that if they contacted the Greater Collinwood Development Corporation. And at that time, they requested that the appellant request a postponement for this and contact the Development Corporation and set up meeting between themselves and the councilman. And that's what the letter stated on November 28th, 2021.
Okay. I feel like it's just a lot of miscommunication with this case, and I'm having a headache. But I feel like we can go ahead and hear the case, because apparently he needs the zoning review before he can move forward with anything. I do feel better that Ms. Kukla did let us know that the land bank parcel is pretty much moving through. So I think we can just go ahead and finish it and hear the case. So, Mr. Davis, tell us what you want to do with the barbershop, what your hours of operation will be, and that kind of thing.
Okay, now my hours of operation will be from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. 4-chair barbershop and 2-chair salon in the back. And with the parking, it's going to be 7 parking places, 1 handicap, and 6 other parking lots. And then it's a few places on the street that you could park. It's a very short distance, probably about 3 or 4 cars there. So, that's what I'm hoping, anticipating on starting this project and getting it going.
So you plan on supplying 13 spaces total?
Yes. Well, see, 10. Well, 7 in the parking lot, and then I counted like 3 places on the street. So, but
You can't count the 3 spaces on the street. That's public.
All right.
So,
I'm sorry. Yeah, 7 parking spaces in the lot.
and that would be in the land bank lot you're requiring.
Yes.
Okay. And all right, so we have 7 spaces. What's the requirement? Is it written up what the requirement is for this building?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm asking Maurice that. Hold on one second.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I don't see where they list the actual required. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Nope. I'm sorry. That was.
This is Richard Riccardi. I believe that the site plan that was shown was not made available when this was reviewed. It was probably done later. That would be enough. That would be enough parking. There is the issue of the landscaping to the side, but the number of spots is not an issue.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that he probably has to come back for the lot once all that gets done, but we want him to be able to move forward on the other thing. So, all right, so we have the spaces in the land bank lot, and we have a 6-chair business, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, and we have 7 parking spaces. So I'm open it up to the board if anyone has any questions for Mr. Davis.
Madam Chair, Maurice Rollins, not on the board, but I did have a question. Is there is there going to be a fence along the, I'm not sure what edge that is, the long edge of the parking lot?
Yes.
Is that, I don't see it unless I'm missing it.
I have it written up on here. It's a 6-foot fence. It's going to
board on board, like a board on board fence?
Yes.
Okay. That was my concern.
Okay, I was gonna call on you anyway, Maurice. So did you want from the city planning perspective?
Yeah, we have no objections to this. In my experience going out there, as you can see from the aerial, there actually is quite a bit of available on-street parking in this neighborhood as well, mainly because of the vacant lot at the other end of London Road. Of course, you never know if that's going to be developed in the future, but it seems like there's ample on-street parking in this area as well. I did want to call your attention to there was one letter of objection. Whoops. Right there.
Okay, so they're citing parking issues, which I don't see any myself, but okay.
Yeah, I think they've addressed the parking situation with the new lot.
Yes. Okay, board.
Madam Chair, I think the aerial view was insightful because it is at an intersection, so there is a cross street that would offer additional on-street parking as well, besides on London Road and the lot that's going to be available. So with that, I think
Madam Chair, I do have one question.
I yield to Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, would you be able to, Madam Chair, this is normally your question, but would you be able to share with us your plans for operation, when your hours and when you would be open?
Oh yeah, he did supply that.
Oh, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, he said 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, 4-chair barbers and 2 salon chairs.
Thank you both for answering me.
You're
I
welcome.
have no other questions. I'm sorry I missed that.
No problem, no problem. All right,
Okay.
go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Okay, so I think we've got that all cleared up. So with that all being said, I move that we go ahead and approve this so Mr. Davis can move forward on his project.
Thank you.
Can I have a second, please?
Madam Chair, Member Brown, and I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Before we move forward, I will just let you know, Mr. Davis, that once your land bank lot goes through and you have your parking laid out, I'm pretty sure you might have to come back. But that'll go through the permitting process, and then building and housing will let you know if you have to come back. But I'm just letting you know that might be the case.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so go ahead and call the roll, please, Ms. Copeland.
Just to clarify, we're granting this with the understanding or with the condition that the land bank lot will be transferred before permit is issued.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-175 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and after that, we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, good luck, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
Madam
Thank
Chair, please note, sorry about that. Madam Chair, please note that Ms. Merlene Barnes has joined us this morning.
All right, Ms. Barnes, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, now we will head for the Church Avenue.
Okay. Looping back to calendar number 22-062. This is at 2807 Church Avenue. 2828 Clinton Avenue LLC owner proposes to establish use as an outdoor live entertainment and amusement, parenthetically volleyball, can pong, climbing wall, in a D2 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Of note is number 3 that states that approval from the Cleveland Landmarks Commission is required. And with that, to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do. David Mason, 32110 Deerfield Drive, Avon Lake, 44012.
Do. William Merriman, 3011 Church Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do. Alex Frondorf, 3300 Clinton Avenue.
I do. Gretchen Snedeker, 2901 Clinton Avenue.
I do. Karen Desatel, 3704 Clinton Avenue.
I do. Brent Zimmerman, 9910 Edgewater Drive.
I do. Donald Pettit, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
I do. Matthew Moss, Cleveland Planning Commission, 601 Lakeside.
Okay, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. History of the property, please.
Madam Chair, this property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2014, it was changed to local retail business. In our records administration office found that in 1965, a permit was issued to demolish a commercial building. There's one variance on file, Madam Chair, for this address in calendar 20-125. You might remember this from September of 2022. A variance was granted temporarily as an outdoor live entertainment and amusement use, and this was noting that it would be volleyball and can pong. The testimony in this variance case was that the appellant's representative stated that the proposal is in response to the current COVID-19 pandemic and is not intended to be forever. The outdoor activities would be accessory to the Saucy Brew Works. It was stated at that time that the beer garden will close by 10. And I think that's what I have that's relevant, Madam Chair. Back to you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and area variances from the distance from a residential district and total parking area regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you. Who will be the
Chair.
spoke? Yes, Mr. Riccardi.
This is Richard Riccardi.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to make 2 points. First, that variance that was granted, that Liz read, a permit was never obtained, followed through for that variance. And secondly, on the notice of nonconformance that I wrote, that was submitted for this, among the activities, the other 3 activities was outdoor concerts. Now that has been either removed or didn't get picked up in the notice today. So if we could, I would just like to see if the appellant is requesting outdoor concerts at this venue, or just the other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's the spokesperson for this case?
Oh, go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, who's this speaking?
This is Brent Zimmerman with the
Okay, Mr. Zimmerman, can you answer Mr. Riccardi's questions, please?
Yeah, so there was a concert planned by a third party that went sideways, to say the least, which created quite a buzz around the city, both positively and negatively. As we've done the last 2 summers, we have not held a big concert in any shape or form. That was a one-off event. We have events such as our Hot Fest and things like that will have acoustical music during the afternoon, but we don't have plans for concerts there on a continual basis and on a a mass amount of people basis. That's not our intention at all. It's to run it exactly how it has been the last 2 summers. And all I can say is the proof is in the pudding. That's exactly what we've done the last 2 summers, and we'll continue to do what we have done.
Okay, and what's the permitting issue?
I'm not aware of a permitting issue. This has gone back and forth so many different times. Maybe David, you can speak to it, but up until this concert issue happened, I didn't even think we needed to come back to Board of Zoning Appeals. It was granted in perpetuity, even though it wasn't our intention to use it in perpetuity, as a developer has bought the land and will be developing it next year. Not my group. I don't own it at all. Saucy Brooks does not own it at all. The big bad wolf in the room. It's a third party, has nothing to do with us. Our lease is through the end of this year, really at the end of October, because we don't do anything during the winter anyway. And next year we've been informed by that landlord that they will be, developing a project there.
Okay, yeah, so the last, when you were here a couple of years ago, I remember, and I do remember you all stating that it was probably going to be sold to someone else and that this is a temporary situation. So you're here today to get another temporary situation granted for 1 more year before this area gets developed, or what?
Yeah, we don't believe we should have had to get another temporary situation granted. It was granted the last hearing that we had. We're just saying we're going to run what we have the last 2 summers through the end of this year, and then it's done. And if something somehow the development goes south or whatever, because things happen, then we'd be happy to come back to you guys again. But I just, given the group that's behind this, I just don't see that happening.
Okay, Liz, so Can you just clear up here? The variance they're asking for today is for a permanent use of this outdoor sports/entertainment venue situation, or is this just for, I'm getting a lot of stories here and I need to make sure what we actually granted the last time.
Yes, it is my understanding that they've applied to make this a permanent use. I'm not sure if Mr. Riccardi could expand on that. Perhaps he knows something that I don't, but it's my understanding that the intention is to make this permanent at this time.
That isn't our intention. David, can you please chime in?
Yeah, no, we're just asking for a renewal for the same thing that we have operated for the past 2 years. We're asking to basically renew the variance that was granted in 2020, which permitted us to have the league volleyball, beer pong, and what we refer to as, limited acoustic oriented music. So it's the amusement and entertainment variance to match identically what was granted in 2020. We're not asking it for it to be permanent. We'd like not to renew it every year, but if we have to renew it every year, that's what we'll do. And as Brent mentioned, we anticipate that this property is going to be developed, in the next year. So, but our building and housing occupancy was temporary. It needs to be renewed every year. They ask us then to come see you again as a part of procedure. So we're here just to request that you give us the same variance that you gave us in 2020.
Well, as I said, as Richard Riccardi again, you didn't get a permit after you got the variance.
Well, that's still
You
being
didn't follow through with the
discussed,
permit
Richard.
after the variance, and there was a music festival plan there, and secondly, there was limitation language in that variance that Liz read. So I just want to be very clear. Is there, if you want outdoor music festivals, state it today. And if you don't, that's fine, and it won't be, because
we're not asking
that
for
caused
that
some issues.
Yeah, we're not asking for that today. And as far as the permitting, the contractor has the goldenrods. There were many people that came through and visited the site, electrical, the tents were reviewed. So we're still discussing with the city how that could possibly be open, because the inspections took place.
Madam Chair, this is Alex Frondorf, Chair of the Franklin Clinton Block Club. At the appropriate time, we have a rebuttal to all of this.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm not going to the community just yet. Okay, so, all right, so the permitting issue between you guys and building and housing will have to continue. So right now we're looking at whether we're gonna grant this temporary variance again as we did before. So I just wanted to make clear for the record that what you're asking for is the exact same variance you received in 2020 with no additions or subtractions.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Block Club, we can go ahead and hear from you now.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Alex Frondorf. I live at 3300 Clinton Avenue. I believe that you've received a number of letters. There's also members of the Block Club on this call. Many of our members live within the 500 feet radius of this proposed entertainment use, which would not otherwise be permitted as a matter of right. I'd like to bring up several points. First, Mr. Zimmer, the owner of the property is not on this call. There is someone who purports to hold a lease, and the leaseholder's architect, I believe, but the property owner is not on this call. So as a procedural matter, I'm not sure if the matter is properly before you. Second, while they purport to claim a temporary use, the permit requested is actually for a permanent use that would run not with the leaseholder, but with the property owner in perpetuity. The lease the permit that was purportedly granted, though as Mr. Riccardi points out, was never effectuated, was never obtained, was under the temporary.
Mr. Frondorf, we've talked about those issues. So
the temporary extension.
Go to your what your opposition to the project is.
Mr. Zimmerman, Saucy Brewerix has not engaged the community. They have not engaged the Block Club. They have not engaged the CDC, which is the Ohio City Inc. I spoke with the director of Ohio City Inc. last week. He said that they have not been engaged with this. I spoke with the councilman by text last week, who said he had no knowledge of the details surrounding this project, and the Block Club has not been engaged. The community has serious concerns about having live entertainment within 500 feet of the historic residential district. We've not been engaged. They're also seeking parking variances. On the hearing that Mr. Riccardi and myself attended on March 23rd of this year, the applicant stated that they estimated that particular lot could hold up to 4,000 people and a concert in a small historic neighborhood with minimal off-street parking and many homes without driveways or off-street parking. And Mr. Zimmerman listened very closely to what he said. They have no plans on a continual basis. That's different than saying he has no plans for outdoor concerts. That's not what he said. He has no plans for a continual basis. Whatever that means, it was not a denial of the fact that they seek outdoor concert venues with live music. We ask that this be either tabled or postponed until the community can be engaged, until the CDC and the Block Club can provide feedback, and to address these issues of creating an outdoor live concert venue in perpetuity in the middle of a historic residential district. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Ms. Snedeker signed up next.
Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate the time today. I live at 2901 Clinton Avenue. I am 500 feet from the property. Our street runs parallel behind the property, the Vibe Garden. And I will state that last year, even though the promoters are saying that the music was acoustic, it was amplified quite loudly. And so from really beginning Friday evening through Sunday afternoon, it was very difficult for us to enjoy our outside space, our porch, our back patio, because the noise level was considerably high. Secondly, this part of our neighborhood is already very, very much taxed with parking. The parking is constrained. We have very small, narrow street with off-site parking, limited driveways. Last summer's events brought a lot of cars into the neighborhood. People were parking deep into the neighborhood, going blocks away. Which then resulted in several incidents in the evening as they were returning to their parked cars of walking through the neighborhoods with open cans of beer and throwing them in our yards. And it was basically all summer a fairly unruly environment. So even in its current temporary state, it has been unwanted from a residential perspective. It's just too much for our area and our street.
Okay, thank you. I have Karen signed up next. Sorry, I didn't catch your last name.
Good morning, it's Karen Desatel, and I live at 3704 Clinton Avenue, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. Many of the concerns that Alex and Gretchen brought up are the same. There are the concerns that I brought up in my letter to the board regarding the noise generated from the concerts that, as Gretchen pointed out, may not be considered amplified, but certainly are. The parking issue is definitely a concern. We understand that the Church and State apartment building across from the Vibe Garden does provide public parking, but back to Alex's point regarding 4,000 attendees at a concert, I don't believe that garage would ever be able to absorb that number of parking needs. You know, there has been no community engagement on this proposal. Last year during COVID, we didn't object to this because this was supposedly a temporary use of this property to provide for a more healthful setting for entertainment. We aren't operating under that regulation any longer. And what the owner of the property is proposing would definitely have a negative impact on the residents. And I believe there's city code 347.12D, that the board would not grant any variances that would negatively affect residents. So I think it's fairly obvious to anybody that lives in the community that this proposal is a negative effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Merriman?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Bill Merriman. With my sons, we have 4 houses, roughly 8 housing units within 500 feet of the property in question. Going back before the erection of the Hingetown Church and State Complex, I was at the Board of Zoning Appeals. Carol Johnson was the chair, and I objected before Carol, and she heard me that I saw the potential for developing an entertainment district, and Carol Johnson assured me that the area was local retail and there would not be an entertainment district. And that was conferred upon by the co-developer of the area, Graham Vesey. He assured me that the future was a local retail and not entertainment district. But that has evolved over time. And what opened it up was the urgency of COVID, where the city temporarily allowed Saucy to open up a beer garden. Nothing about live entertainment like the likes that we actually experienced, such that last summer at one of our block club meetings held in the church front yard of St. John's Church, 2600 Church, within 500 feet, had to curtail our meeting because of the volume of the amplified guitar music that was being provided that night. It was overwhelming within 500 feet. There's just a history of too much noise, lack of parking, and then the surprise factor. For example, it was last April 2nd, we found that there was going to be a great culture concert drawing thousands of people, as much as 3,000 people. I can't imagine it would be possible, but it was projected. And we found out that really these proper permits were not drawn, and ultimately that concert was moved to the appropriate place of Masonic Auditorium. So we felt that the presence has expanded. The presence of a concert venue has expanded into the neighborhood only for the urgent needs to sustain the viability of Saucy Brew as a brewery, as a restaurant, not as a concert venue like Nautica. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's all for the residents. Mr. Pettit?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Don Pettit, Secretary of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. The commission reviewed a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of the rock climbing wall on this site in February of 2021. We approved it based on the fact that the rock climbing wall would replace the Canton court and that the use would be consistent with the Board of Zoning Appeals resolution. And after considerable discussion regarding the nature of the climbing wall and all of their safety protocols. However, the commission's approval was conditioned on the removal of the installation at the end of their lease in November of 2021. The only thing that's changed in my mind is that the climbing wall was never installed, although it's still on the drawings. And so I don't have any objection to the current application because it's consistent with the commission's approval from 2021. And for that reason, it did not go back to the commission. However, this has always been considered a temporary use. And I would ask the board to impose an end date of 1 year on any approval today to be consistent with the temporary nature of the use. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. Matt Moss.
Madam Chair, I just simply want to echo what Don Pettit had testified to, that we strongly feel that if you feel this use should continue as stated by the applicant, that it be temporary in your motion. That really helps us do our jobs when those motions are as clear as possible. So that's what I'm here to recommend and urge you to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have done that in the past. We can put a sunset on the variance for 1 year at a time. We've done that on other occasions. So what I'm hearing here is the outdoor uses of the athletic uses and the picnic tables and all that are not really causing the issue. What's causing the issue is the noise from whatever these outdoor venues that are being programmed here. So can someone from the project team kind of speak on that? About how your acoustical venues are still disrupting the neighbors in the surrounding area?
Yeah, this is Brent. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So a point of clarification here. Remember when this happened during the middle of COVID, we took over a junkyard, transformed it into a beer garden so that people could socially distance and socialize with each other. The 4,000 people thing is because we were required to draw for the city of Cleveland an architecturally significant drawing showing if they were socially distanced, how many people could fit seated, so on and so forth. So we have an entire diagram that showed those things. It had nothing to do with us wanting to have 4,000 people there. This concert that Great Culture wanted to have is an outlier. I was told things were taken care of that weren't. I apologize to all of you for that. Our intention, we have no interest in holding big concerts at our beer garden. We want to serve beer and food and have people have a good time outside in a beer garden in the middle of a city. I can assure you that while we have 4 or 5 people on here saying that it's too loud over there, that the people sitting on the balconies at Church and State with coolers listening to the acoustical music from 2 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon disagree. I think it's a very dangerous precedent to have a few people show up to these meetings and speak for the entire city area of Ohio City. We have that going on at a national level right now, and it's pretty disturbing.
Okay, Mr. Zimmerman.
People speaking, but you never engaged the community. You never engaged.
Yeah, we did 2 years ago. Let's not go back down this
That was during COVID. You never came back.
Mr. Frondorf, there's no back and forth here with that. We're not doing that. So please refrain from answering Mr. Zimmerman without going through me.
So, Madam Chairman, I would request. Sorry, I thought you. My bad.
Yeah, no, Mr. Zimmerman, I was going to ask you, do you have actual times of the day where you are doing this music? Is it going into midnight, or is it in the morning, or what times?
We don't even open. There's a few volleyball games that go till 10. The latest we've ever had music is probably 6 o'clock. The one incident that Mr. Merriman's speaking of, it's somebody that decided to have karaoke at the Vibe Garden that we didn't allow, and we kicked them out immediately. Alex texted me, and within a half an hour, they were gone. So I get tired of the coloring of what happens and what actually happens.
Okay, Mrs. Zimmerman, just calm down a little bit here.
If you dealt with this every day, you would be upset too, Ms. Chairman.
I understand, but I'm not the one accusing you right now. So I just need your tone to come down a little bit here so we can try to get to a resolution. So are you amenable to, keeping your, if this goes through, keeping your outdoor entertainment to a certain time period where it's not disruptive?
Yes, and that's all we want anyway. We've run a business for 5 years, never had any police complaints. We were named Ohio City Business of the Year during COVID. I'm sorry, but the actions speak louder than words because of a few people that are disgruntled from 5 years ago.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've heard all the testimony here. I'm going to open it up to my board. I'm sure they have some questions. So go ahead, board members.
So, Madam Chair, as you accurately just stated, there seems to be opportunity to limit times of operation, to limit use, and I would hope that we could understand that better. The other 2 items that I I think I'm not clear on. Is what the application actually is before us versus what I heard the applicant say they wanted. So someone said it's a permanent use. They said it's only temporary, and city planning said put an end date. Are we able to answer different than what we're requested? That's a little confusing for me. I want to make sure whatever we do is
Yes.
clear.
Yes, so we've had, actually until it was, I think it just recently got redeveloped, but, for all my time here on BZA, we had, somewhere like in the University Circle area, I can't remember, but they came every year for the same temporary permit because they only needed it for 1 year. So, and we have done it before that we have put, you know, a sunset on the variance request. So it's well within our purview to say, yes, we can grant this, but this ends on, you know, a certain date. Now, from my understanding, and they can chime in if I'm wrong, but from my understanding is they want to keep this as a temporary use due to that there may be redevelopment of this property in a year by a different landowner.
Legally, our
Yeah,
lease
yeah,
only
but
runs through October 31st of 2022.
Lease ends on October of what? October what?
Of this year, 2022, our lease is over.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last question is about parking. I'm getting lost in this, but are there any parking requirements? How do we interpret item number 2, section 2? Number 2, excuse me.
Before we looked at the fact that I don't think at the time Church and State building was complete, but they do offer public parking for the uses around, and Saucy Brew would qualify for that.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Board members, any other questions?
Madam Chair, this is Liz.
Mm-hmm.
To what Member Brown was asking, the application that was submitted to us had a description on it. This was handwritten by the applicant. They were requesting outdoor beer garden with volleyball and low volume music entertainment. However, the notice of nonconformance is written up, I guess would be what they would be granted. I guess I would defer to Mr. Riccardi if he could confirm that music was part of the review when it was applied to building and housing. This was an online submittal, and we have our own application that we have the applicant fill out here at Board of Zoning Appeals. But it is a little different now in the Acela system, in that the appellant will also submit notes into that. I'm not sure how building and housing reviews those notes. Mr. Riccardi could answer them.
I think the zoning issues are stated clearly as to what the applicant wants to do. The applicant should state today, it'll be memorialized, and he should be held to it. I mean, the applicant is here, he should say if there's a concert series planned there, you know, or if it's just people who, you know, if it's someone, a guy on a stage strumming an acoustic guitar with no amplification or something like that, like a folk music or something. I mean, the applicant is here, he should state exactly what he's going to do. As to the zoning issues, the parking, the entertainment of any kind not being permitted at that site, those two issues stay the same regardless.
Ms. Kukla, does that answer your question?
Yes, I believe so. I do worry, I'm not sure if the appellant, I mean, if our attorney believes that this should be advertised differently because the music wasn't mentioned in our notice or that went out to the public. It did say entertainment.
It does say
live
outdoor live entertainment, so I think that probably encompasses music.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes, I have one question. Is
Mhm.
this a paid event that they have, or is it open door free?
No, this is a patio attached to Saucy Brew, so you're a patron of the brewery to use the area.
Okay, so I don't understand how you could get 4,000 people down there. I'm just wondering.
Oh yeah, that was not the appellant. He explained that due to some qualifications that they had to show they could accommodate due to social distancing. So this permit all this was done during COVID. So you had to show that a certain amount of people can fit while you're spacing them out, but they had no 4,000 person venue happen in this place. So I think people are getting distracted by that number. That is not the issue before us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Madam Chair, I still have a question and would like to hear the appellant say how they intend to use the space. I mean, it's just all entertainment, all amusement is not what he has in mind. Volleyball and picnic tables, I think he has something more in mind. So if he could articulate it, I mean, I'm pressed right at this moment to understand how we would define the temporary use. Can somebody help me with that?
Yeah, so, and I invite you to come down and see, but there are 54 picnic tables. There is a draft system that you can see if you look at the second drop on your screen. You can see that little door. That's where draft beer is served. By the way, disputing the whole cans and yard thing. We don't serve cans over there. But neither here nor there. And then there's a volleyball court right here that Hermes that does all the, races around town and volleyball and all that kind of stuff, runs as a third party Monday. Sunday. The only days it's not is Friday and Saturday. There are, they're probably not up. There are red trash cans that people use to play, like life-size Pong, like they throw balls into trash cans. And other than that, people sit there with their dogs and their friends and talk to each other. We've had music that is, acoustic guitar. They'll have sometimes they'll have a singer, maybe drums. Those concerts have always taken place anywhere from noon to 5 in the afternoon. The entire Vibe Garden closes every night by 10. The only nights it's even open until 10 is if there's a volleyball game that goes that late. If not, it closes at 7 or 8. As an establishment, even our indoor area, we're only open until 10, except for on weekends at midnight. We do that for safety, quality of life for our employees, and all those kinds of things. So it's very consistent how we've run this the last 2 years. I'm happy to walk all of you as a board membership around and show you exactly what it is. We're not interested in having a large concert. That was a one-off thing that happened that, quite frankly, a lot of details were construed when it got back to us and how it was going to be operated and who was signed on and what process had gone through. We're interested in running a beer garden so people can hang out outside, have a beer with their dog, have a pizza. That's what we do. 97% of the time, that's all that's going on there.
Madam Chair, may I offer one fact and one fact only?
Sure, go ahead.
Currently, at this very second, because I have it pulled up on my screen, Great Entertainment has advertised right on its homepage that I will read it to you. It says all season outdoor concerts in the Ohio City home of Saucy Brewworks. Concert information at the
Yeah, that's
Vibe
because he
Garden.
hasn't taken it off his website, Alex. You know as well as I have.
I don't know that because you were
Yeah, you
selling
do,
tickets,
Alex.
which you're not permitted to do.
Like, fine, I'm happy to
Listen-
state for the board that we're not going to have any concert with Great Concert or anybody else.
Okay, that's
You
all
happy,
we needed.
Alex?
And again, gentlemen, out of order.
Yes, we need
One
we
person at
need
a
you
time
all.
through the chair.
Yes. And we need you all to stop arguing. So thank you for clearing that up, Mr. Zimmerman, that there are no concerts that will be held. And that's on the record. We have it here that there will be no concerts by that venue in your place.
That's correct. And we've never
Madam
had a
Chairman.
paid event there.
Thank you. Is that
Madam Chair,
Maurice?
we do have Bill Merriman and Karen with their hands raised.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Merriman.
Not present at the meeting are the people running Malachi House, which is immediately adjacent to the property line. 15 individuals, older men and women, in the last weeks of their life. I appreciate Mr. Zimmerman's commitment to no more music, not just amplified music, but for the sake of 15 people experiencing the last weeks of their life, just feet away from the entertainment that has been going on. I just hope that the Board of Zoning Appeals will hear their cries as well. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, can I speak directly to that?
Hold on one second. We'll let was it Karen you said, Maurice? Yeah, we'll let Karen speak and then you can have the floor again, Mr. Zimmerman.
Thank you. I would just like to ask that, I guess, one, I would like to understand the definition of a concert, because if you're going to specify in your ruling anything related to concerts, I'd like to understand what that means. I would like to ask that no live or amplified music be permitted at the Vibe Garden, because that is definitely an intrusion in the neighborhood. Regardless of what Mr. Zimmerman has stated, our experience last summer was entirely different. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Zimmerman.
I speak with Judy Hillo at the Malachi House almost on a weekly basis. She's fully supportive of the Vibe Garden. Frankly, she gets tired of people putting words into her mouth. I'm happy to provide her your contact information. Secondly, I apologize. I think it was Karen who was speaking that you think that there was noise pollution or whatever that you call it, but there are a lot of people right across the street that disagree with your opinion.
All right. I have officially closed down the comment section here. We need to keep moving. Board members, other than yourselves, if you have any more questions for the appellant.
Madam Chair, and I think this is probably to Mr. Zimmerman, I would ask for a succinct listing of hours of operation and hours of music and what type of music it is, whether it's amplified or non-amplified, and what hours that is played.
No music.
Easy enough. We have that available as we speak.
Great. So can you just give me that information, please?
Yes. Do you want us to send it to you in email, or how do you want to?
Just right now, I need it. Hours of operation?
Oh, hours of operation are 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. And then
Days, please.
every day.
Okay. Great. And beverages are served in party cups, shall we say?
Yeah, they're actually biodegradable, like corn plastic cups.
Okay. So no containers,
Correct.
right? Food is carry out, right? From on
Yes.
site?
Yes, from
No food trucks?
No food trucks, no. It's from Saucy. A lot of people get food at Larder and bring it over, or, you know, whomever in the neighborhood.
That's good. Music, type of music, amplified or not?
It's acoustical in nature that, yes, they have plugged guitars into
So
an
it's amplified.
amplifier.
Okay.
Those concerts typically take place anywhere from 12 to 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
So noon to 5.
Yeah, that's fine.
And any music beyond 5 o'clock?
No.
No music beyond 5 o'clock. And your lease concludes, I believe you said October 31st of 2022.
Yeah, this is the last year for the lease.
Okay. All right. Is the music every day as well?
No, I would guess somewhere between 5 and 8 times for the summer.
And summer being May 31st through like Memorial Day through Labor Day?
Yeah, that's a good depiction.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the
Wait.
board, does anyone else have any other comment or questions?
That these are going to be the music occasions are hosted by Saucy. It's not a concert series by some outside promoter.
That's correct. It's literally a local guy or gal that has him or herself and 1 or 2 other members that play instruments and sing. We no third party. The Great Culture concert was a one-off that didn't happen. I understand the amplification around it, but it has nothing to do with our overall business plan.
Okay, Madam Chair, perhaps a question to legal. Is it within our purview to limit who can arrange the entertainment? Can we limit no third party? Is that within our purview?
That's a good question.
And that's a question to our legal?
I would have to look into that. I'm sorry. I just joined recently and I'm not.
Right.
Does
Okay.
anybody else?
Well, it's the intent that they are describing to us, right? Whether we could enforce it.
Right.
I agree. We
Okay.
can put it in there. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, Madam Chair, I think I'm ready to go ahead with the motion then.
Go ahead.
This will be conditional. Should we approve this? I distinctly remember this case from when we first had the group before us. And we had pretty extensive discussion back then. I stepped away for a minute trying to find my original notes and was unsuccessful on that, but I do remember the case. So, and I specifically went through all these facts with Mr. Zimmerman, so that we're going to make this part of the motion at this point. So business hours will be 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. That is 7 days a week, Sunday through Saturday. Beverages are served in cups, no containers, that will be removed off the premises. Food is carry out only, again, so that food is on premise. With regard to music, any amplified music will be limited from noon to 5 p.m. As Mr. Zimmerman stated, that will be 8 times maximum between the dates of Memorial Day and Labor Day of 2022. There will be no music after 5 p.m., as Mr. Zimmerman stated. And the intent is that there is no third parties involved in planning the events. any entertainment will be arranged through the Saucy Bistro. Those are the conditions. And we are sensitive to the neighbors, but we also are sensitive to the business owner. And the other item is that this variance will sunset. We will give you through December 31st at 11:59 p.m. of 2022. Is there any further discussion of this motion by the board?
Nope, I think we just need to change that there will be no third-party concert venues. I think we can't stop them from planning with others, but
Okay.
no third-party concert venues.
All right, all right. All right, with that amendment being made, I make the motion that we go ahead and approve the variances for this case.
All right, can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Cooker.
Ms. Barnes? Ms. Barnes? Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Madam Chair, calendar number 22-062 is granted conditionally. It'll be ratified next week, and after that, we will send the appellant a letter.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. All right, moving along. Our seventh case today, Madam Chair, this was postponed from January 24th of 2022. This is calendar number 21-181. This is at 3733 East 65th Street. Ran Romano, owner, proposes to establish 7 residential units and 3 commercial units in a B1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Of note, the first postponement was made at the request of the councilman to allow time for community review. The second postponement was made at the request of the city planner to allow time for design review to take place. And the third postponement was made at the request of the appellant's representative to allow time to update the site plan to show landscaping. And to that, to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Okay, I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Angela Mumford, 1889 East 75th Street, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do. Chris Alvarado, Slavic Village Development, 5620 Broadway Avenue, Suite 200, Cleveland, 44127.
Ron Romano, 32 Mapledale Avenue, Bedford.
Okay, anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize if I did not put this on the notes for this project. We had the history of the project at one of our previous hearings. If you'd like me to read it again, I can.
No. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the off-street parking, screening, and landscaping requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you. Who will be the spokesperson for this case?
I am Angela.
Okay, Angela, go ahead.
Okay, so we are, I did send over the updated for the landscaping this morning. I was a little late with that, but what we're going to do is we're going to put in a garden in the, just a flower bed in the front where there currently is no flowers there. And then again, we were going to remove the hedges, and we're going to put in, we want to put in the little flower beds around the tree post on the lawns, on the tree lawn, where the concrete is, just to make more curb appeal and beautification for the community. And we're also going to have we're going to have a coffee shop in there as well. And the plan with the coffee shop, we do want to have the hours between 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And with the coffee shop, we want to have the plan is to have like a $1 coffee shop. So $1 coffee, $1 muffins, $1 cookies, everything $1 so that, it doesn't put a strain on the community. And those are our plans to move forward.
So what days will that coffee shop be open, Angela?
Oh, it will be open Sunday through Sunday. So every day of the week.
And that's for the downstairs.
Yes, for the downstairs.
There any plans for the upstairs?
No, not at this moment, just the residential for the upstairs, yes.
Okay, do we, so everything that, because it was going kind of fast. So everything that, Angela laid out, Maurice, do we have the plans for?
I have not received anything. The deadline for submitting things for today's meeting was Wednesday, May 4th. So if it's not submitted by then, we can't guarantee that it's going to be on the PowerPoint.
Okay. Ms. Mumford, did you submit anything after the 4th?
I did, yes.
Liz, did that get lost somewhere?
Well, I just sent it to her, so earlier this morning.
Like today?
Yes, today.
Um,
I sent some of those over to Mr. Rowlands, but again, it was like 15 after, quarter after, 9 this morning.
okay, well, let's hear from Mr. Alvarado over at Slavic Village.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. So there are 3 reasons why we cannot recommend approval of this request. First is that contrary to a prior request, design review has not taken place. This has not been submitted to the city for design review. We did have a chance to see what Ms. Mumford had sent in. We just received it this weekend, and their presentation would be appropriate for design review, but they've not gone through that. Second is that there's not been a meeting with Slavic Village Development. We did get outreach from the appellant on the 4th of May. So that was on Wednesday. Marilyn Mashinsky, who's our Director of Business Development, then reached out to try to schedule a meeting on Friday. And we did not hear back until this weekend when they tried to set up a meeting on Saturday or on Sunday. So we've not had a chance to review this with the appellant. Neither has the appellant reached out to Councilwoman Rebecca Maurer. And our understanding is that as of January 21st, Councilman Moore strongly requested that this BZA does not deny the variance request. And she has not changed her mind as far as we could tell. And the third concern is that taxes have not been paid on this property since the acquisition by Mr. Romano on November 21st, 2019. The building, it's a lovely building, but it's not been cared for, nor have there been any kind of investments, much less the payment of property taxes. So we cannot, in good conscience, ask for an approval.
Okay, this is the second time we've seen this case, and it's been postponed several times to make certain steps, and these steps have not been done. So I'm kind of getting a headache from seeing this on several occasions without what's been needed to be needed. So, Ms. Mumford, I know you're probably helping Mr. Romano out with with the project, but on each occasion, it's been verbalized what he needs to do to get his process through. It doesn't sound like anyone's against what he wants to do. He just needs to do it in the proper manner. So I'll open it up to the board, but I just don't think this is ready for us to see or hear today. It's unfortunate because I hate that people have to keep ping-ponging back and forth through things. But you have to go through the process by the time you get to us so that we'll have all the pertinent information we need to make a viable decision. So, board members, what do you think here?
Madam Chair, I'm in agreement. This case has been postponed 3 times. And we've seen the appellant before us on at least one previous occasion. There is, as the CDC director indicated, there's a presentation, but the deadline to submit to us was missed, and the recommendations to confer with the council person and with the representatives from the CDC who will be helpful in guiding the appellant through the process apparently have not yet happened. So rather than making a motion on this case and voting it down, it seems perhaps more appropriate for the appellant to withdraw and come back to us when they are thoroughly prepared and have made contact with all the necessary parties.
Yeah, Ms. Mumford, it seems like you have been in conversations with Mr. Alvarado, but just stick to him like glue and do exactly everything he's going to guide you to do the best thing to get this project through. I just don't feel like we have enough information as the board today to render a decision. So please contact Mr. Alvarado so he can, usher you through this process. So it would either be in your best interest. I mean, we can, postpone this again, but I feel like I don't know how long. I mean, we postponed it for a number of months, or you can withdraw and go back to the drawing board. So that would be on you, what you will want to do, Ms. Mumford. Or Mr. Romano.
We can postpone it and then come back more prepared for the next meeting. And I'll send a chat to Mr. Alvarado so I can get his contact information.
All right, so we're gonna give them the whole summer.
Yes, Madam Chair, I was just going to, if I may, I was going to interject that the last time the appellant was before us, we specifically asked Ms. Mumford if she would be assured that she'd be prepared to come before us when her case was due again, and we were assured that that would happen. So I don't have full confidence that postponing again is the appropriate action here. But if you're willing to give her the full summer, then perhaps that will allow enough time.
Yeah, because I'm not comfortable with forcing someone to withdraw their case as well. So if that's not
Okay,
something they want to do, then we will give them, until,
that's fine.
like September to get this together. Mr. Alvarado, you had your hand up?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Mumford does have the email address and the cell phone number of Marilyn Mashinsky, our Director of Business Development. She can continue working with Ms. Mashinsky.
All right, good. Okay, Ms. Kukla, we'll give them to like September to get this together. If they don't have something by then that's a whole different story. So can we get a date in September?
Madam Chair, the end of August would be August 29th. Labor Day is September 5th, and the next week is September 12th, if you have any specific suggestions there.
Give them the 12th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Mumford, you have till September 12th to get everything you need together before you come back before this board, all right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next
Okay.
case.
All right. It looks like, let me just,
We've got one more.
yeah, we've got one more. And this was postponed from April 4th of 2022. This is calendar number 22-035 at 5807 Detroit Ave. This is the Gadsby LLC owner proposes to establish use as an amusement recreation venue in a local retail business district and a pedestrian retail overlay district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the following sections of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. The original postponement was made at the request of the councilwoman to allow time for further review. And with that, to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Okay, I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address.
I do. Jim Matijich, 5807 Detroit Avenue.
I do. Chelsea Kovar, 6516 Detroit Avenue.
Anyone else?
I do. Tracy Turoff, Solon, Ohio.
Okay, I guess, Madam Chair.
History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. In 2011, it was placed in the local retail business district, and the pedestrian retail overlay district was established in 2008. In our records administration office, we found that in 1908, there were additions and repairs to a two-story structure. 1947, a permit was issued to establish use as a restaurant and bar. Then there is one variance on file, Madam Chair, in calendar 17-172. A variance was granted to establish use as a bar restaurant. At that time, a parking lease agreement was made for 11 spaces at the convenience store at 5910 Detroit Avenue. That lease agreement was established for 1 year with options to review up to 2 years. The appellant testified at that time that he was proposing to purchase the convenience store within 2 years. And Madam Chair, that was granted again conditionally based upon the parking lease agreement and with the understanding that there is that possibility that he would be acquiring that address at 5910 Detroit Avenue. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and area variances from the distance and off-street parking regulations of the zoning code To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. So who's going to be the spokesperson?
I am. Madam Chairman, thank you for hearing me out today.
No problem. What's your name? Who's speaking? You need to
I'm
say
Jim
your name.
Matijich. I own the property at 5807 Detroit Avenue, and I also am a resident of this ward. And I own several properties spread out throughout the Gordon Square, Ohio City area.
All right, thank
So
you.
I purchased this property roughly 5 years ago. At that time, when I purchased it, I had plans to open a bar and restaurant, and I applied for a parking permit, which was granted. And during that time, I decided to get away from alcohol. I'm not interested in having any alcohol in my establishment. So I submitted a change of plans for axe throwing, which I was stamped permit. I have a stamped set of plans for axe throwing, and I built the axe throwing, and I also received an occupancy permit. I had my fire inspection. Half the city of Cleveland came down and threw axes. And as soon as my occupancy permit was granted, COVID struck us and the governor shut down all the businesses. So during that shutdown, I decided to submit plans for an ice cream store with the axe throwing. And when I submitted the plans for the ice cream store, all of a sudden, that's when I got a little bit of backlash on the axe throwing. So I'm a little confused as to what's going on. Again, I have an occupancy permit for Battle Axe Cafe.
Okay, so you already got permitted for the axe throwing, but since you added in an extra use with the ice cream, that might be what triggered you to have to come back here. Because you didn't have the ice cream before, you just had the axe throwing?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right, so what are your hours of operation for I love that name, by the way, for Battle Axe? What are your hours of operation?
Obviously, hours are a little bit different during the summer versus the winter since it's ice cream. So during the summer, I plan to be open from noon till 10. During the winter, obviously, my hours will decrease. And I'd love to get open. I was ready to open several months ago.
All right, so what were so just ballpark, what will your winter hours be?
My winter hours will be more towards just the axe throwing and dessert hours. So winter will be more like 4 or 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, we'll make it 4.
And again, I want to stress there's 0 alcohol at my establishment.
Gotcha. Okay.
Madam Chair, I may have missed it, but did he say what days?
He did not actually.
Yeah,
What days are that?
I'll be open 7 days a week.
7 days, okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so you're just here for, I didn't even look at the listing. So you're just here for a use permit then?
They're considering axe throwing amusement, so they asked me to come get a second variance after they granted me an occupancy permit.
Oh, gotcha. So it's
Yeah,
not
it's kind
even,
of a little bit in
okay, so it's
reverse.
not,
I was
okay,
already,
yeah, I'm reading it now. Okay. So you're actually here for axe throwing and not ice cream. Okay. All right.
yeah, correct.
Okay. All right. Well, that answers my questions. We'll go to Chelsea.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. This is Chelsea Kovar, the Economic Development Director for Northwest Neighborhoods Community Development Corporation. We are against these variances, these changes. The business owner did not do any proper due diligence for establishing this business in the neighborhood. They did not do any community engagement surrounding opening this to the residents of our neighborhood. They did not engage the local businesses, any of their neighbors, and they did not come to us prior to going and applying to BZA. Additionally, Councilwoman Spencer is in direct opposition of this as well. She has submitted a statement as well as I have on behalf of our organization, and she is not able to be here this morning, but if we do need her testimony, please let me know and I can get her on the call.
Okay, Chelsea, so are you saying he did not engage you in the axe throwing business or the ice cream?
He did not engage us in any part of this business. We didn't know anything about it until he went to BZA and we were notified that there was going to be a request.
Madam Chairperson, may I say something? First of all, when I started all this, Matt Zone was the councilman. He was 100% behind this. Chelsea was not involved with this. She didn't have a job at the time. I was already granted and approved and given an occupancy permit pre-COVID. The only reason I didn't open was the governor shut us down. I made several attempts to call Chelsea. She would not come meet with me. It took forever to return a phone call. Jenny Spencer canceled several meetings, never yet told myself or any of my attorneys. She waited till the bitter last moment to try to do this. Furthermore, as far as engagement, my neighbor is behind me. He agrees. He would love to see this. Over the weekend, I went outside and got over 100 signed signatures from people in the neighborhood who have been anticipating axe throwing for over 2 years that want a family-friendly, fun thing to do. Axe throwing is one of the most popular sports currently, and it's getting greater. You can see, I took a vacant building of 20 years and put $500,000 of my own money into renovating it. Everything was built because I was given a set of stamped plans for axe throwing. Chelsea didn't even work for the city when this was done. And again, she made zero attempt to come down here, refused to come down and look at the place until recently. They came down on Thursday and said, oh, by the way, we canceled your meeting again. Occupancy was granted.
Okay, thank you. We have Adam Davenport with his hand up. I don't think you were sworn in, Adam.
I was not. I was on the phone. Apologies.
Okay. Ms. Brown, can you swear him in, please?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Raise your hand, say I do, your name and your address, please.
I do. Adam Davenport, City Planning, 601 Lakeside Avenue. So a couple things, and I'll focus mostly on the variances. So I talked to Tom Vanover before last week or so when this case was first on the agenda. An occupancy permit was granted to this use, so that I totally understand the applicant being very confused as to why he is here today for this project. It seemed to be a confusion in the B&H office about I think it was just a process thing with approving something in the commercial district versus the existing use itself. So to try and correct some things that were said earlier, right? The applicant is here today for the use of axe throwing in this hearing because it's classified as under the entertainment category. I don't know if I guess for the use itself, from like a city planning perspective, like there wasn't a lot said about what goes on during this, but to my understanding, it's a rental kind of situation. I look at it more like, honestly, like darts and pool and other things that you come to establishments for. The use in this commercial district on this vacant storefront on Detroit, next to Happy Dog, across from Flight, across from the old Spice restaurant, down the street from Gordon Square, like this is fine. And it's an okay use for this vacant storefront. The lack of parking in this commercial district for this building, as cited on the agenda, I don't think is a concern either in this regard. It's a smaller storefront area. I don't know the applicant's desires for, or what the occupancy permit was for, or, I mean, and by how many people I mean that, but I think there could be parking arrangements figured out if they deem that necessary or not. But I don't think it's necessarily like a commercial concern, given what I see on Detroit for street parking and the available lots on Spice and a Happy Dog on a night that's a Wednesday or a night that's a Saturday. Honestly, I don't live too far away. I'll hold off on anything else right now because I'm not privy to like what the whole meeting situation is or anything like that. But those are my comments at the moment.
All right, thank you. Mr. Riccardi, you have your hand up?
Yes, I don't want to be argumentative here. I just want to state the permit and the certificate of occupancy that were granted did not include, did not mention, did not consider the amusement use of this. This was stated to the applicant in and I just looked it up in the original notice of nonconformance and letter of November 12th, 2020. Not 2021, but 2020. A variance was not pursued until now, I think because another department of the city, the storefront, won't help out with a sign or a renovation because they see that the use wasn't granted. So, and I don't want to be argumentative, but we're here for the axe throwing now. This is the time to describe it, to allow it, to get it properly permitted. And the permit and the certificate of occupancy does not include it. And if it did include it, we wouldn't be here today. So, as I said, I don't want to be argumentative. We should just focus on what is required now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Riccardi. Chelsea, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The business owner went to BZA prior to speaking with myself or Councilwoman Spencer. Councilwoman Spencer was out of the country for several weeks, so she wasn't able to meet. I had spoken with the business owner, but that was already after they had went and moved forward with this prior to talking to me and our organization. We just do not approve of these variances, and it's stated in our letter and stated from the letter from Councilwoman Spencer.
I'd like to state a couple things. As far as Mr. Riccardi goes, he did send me a letter several years ago.
Jim, we're not going to rehash that kind of. We're just want to focus on the use right now. Not what the back and forth thing. We just want to focus on, permitting, the axe throwing use so that you can, get back open if that's what the board deems appropriate.
Okay, so this isn't going to be, tournament league axe throwing here. I'm building another place in Parma for tournament league axe throwing. What this is for people in the neighborhood who have nothing to do, have the ability to come down, play a short game, 12 throws, take a selfie, get your ice cream, get your Hawaiian shaved ice, and go enjoy life. You can bring your children, or you can bring your grandma, you can bring whatever. It's an alcohol-free thing. And again, all these plans were done several years ago. Chelsea didn't even work for the Gordon Square when all
you stated that already. We just need to focus in on what we're trying to do today. We're not going to go back and forth about he said, she said. I don't get into that stuff. So we're just going to focus on that. Okay, so I'm gonna open it up to, oh wait, I'm sorry, I have Tracy, I didn't catch your last name. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm just here to assist Jim if I'm
Oh,
needed. Tracy Turok.
okay,
Thank you.
okay, great, thank you. Okay, so just seems to me that this is a very small, business on Detroit Ave that wants to have axe throwing and ice cream. And needs the, BZA to approve the variance so that he can reopen his business. So I'm gonna open it up to the board members now for any questions.
Madam Chair, sorry to interrupt. I do have one letter of opposition. If you want me to read it.
Yes, go ahead.
This is the neighbor owner at 1408 West 58th Street, Chris Sledzik. Not sure if he's here or not. He stated that he's unable to make the hearing, but he wanted to reach out with comments. Stated again that he's located at that address, 158th. While they're excited to see activity in this vacant commercial space, they think that the concept of axe throwing and gelato coffee is a perfectly quirky fit for the neighborhood. They wanted to understand the risk associated, lifting any and all restrictions on axe throwing and parking in this tight space seems like a mistake without explicitly defined restrictions. Quote, all axe throwing will be restricted to indoor spaces and industry standard safety protocols in place. Perhaps these details left out, I'm sorry, that was the end quote. Perhaps these details left out on the notice we received, but we would feel best if these revised restrictions were put in place in lieu of a blanket exception. Outdoor axe throwing and parking in and around Waverly Court are major concerns, as this would all occur mere feet from the bedrooms of their home. You're requesting that the party seeking the exception should develop the revised restrictions that would allow their business to operate while keeping neighbors safe.
Absolutely. So the axe throwing is only inside, and as you can see, everything is fenced in completely. Here's my targets. Nothing's outside, and I still want to buy the convenience store, and I'm still in the process of trying to buy the convenience store.
All right, yeah,
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this is Maurice Rowland. Just curious, is that the space?
Yes, it looks like it.
It's already built.
Just curious. Thanks. Sorry.
Madam Chair, can I speak one more time, please?
As long as it's pertinent information, Chelsea, I don't want to go back and forth with Jim with stuff. So yes.
Pertinent. Jim
Okay.
said he collected 100 signatures over this weekend. He stood outside of Gypsy Coffee and asked people to sign his signature. So he did not do his due diligence of asking the direct neighbors around his facility, as written in that letter by a neighbor. He did not engage those specific neighbors that will be directly affected and impacted by this. Additionally, did not directly contact any of his neighboring businesses. Talked to several of them as well. And they have heard nothing from him and nothing about his business plan.
Okay, thank you, Chelsea. Okay, like I said, I'm very confused about what the controversy is here. This seems, as the neighborhood planner said, this is a small business and a small storefront for, 3 or 4, axe throwing units and some ice cream. So I'm very confused about what the whole controversy is here. But I'll open it up to my board members for any questions or comments. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I actually am just trying to get a better handle on the floor plan here. To the appellant, can you describe, looking at the floor plan, can you describe a little more thoroughly how I'm not entirely sure why this is on my radar, but I know that this is a trending activity. And it seems to me like it probably is something like, similar to darts or that sort of thing. And I'm guessing that the areas are partitioned off, but can you walk us through the floor plan a little bit?
So what I did is when you walk through the front door, you can come inside and I have a counter where you can order ice cream. Then I have my 2 axe throwing cages. The restrooms are in the back. I also have a takeout window on the front of the building where people will be able to walk up and get an ice cream and not even bother to come in if they don't want to. So you have the ability to get ice cream and shaved ice from the outside and from the inside. And it's relatively a small space.
And it's just the 2 cage areas.
Cages, correct.
And are they fully partitioned, or is there chain
Fully
link
partitioned
fence,
with
or?
yes.
They're cages.
Cages, correct.
You're encompassed in it, you know, not to show any bias here, but I've been axe throwing before, and you are inside of a cage and you throw the axe. So there's no interaction with people next to you or around you because you're inside of that cage.
And it's one person in the cage at a time.
No. It depends on the establishment and how many people they put in there, but
Okay.
because it's a game, so you're throwing for a target. So
Right. Okay. So maximum 2 or 4 people in the cage?
Maximum 2.
Maximum 2. Okay. And how big are the axes?
I'll show you one. They're very small.
They're small axes, yeah.
For reference, my 11-year-old just came to try it and loved it. And he could throw it. It's light.
This is one of the axes. Very small.
Okay. All right. Sort of a hatchet, really.
Sometimes.
Madam Chair, I don't know if anybody noticed, but in the chat, Chelsea put in that Councilmember Spencer would like her letter read into the record.
Okay. Do we have it?
Yes, I had it
was
up on the here. I'll show you in one
Yeah,
second.
it was on screen.
It was on screen. Let me bring it back up.
We would stipulate to the inclusion of it if, for the purpose of time saving, if that's helpful.
All right, who's reading this letter?
I can read it out loud, Madam Chair. This is Liz.
Okay.
This again is from Jenny Spencer, Ward 15. The date on this letter is May 6, 2022. Was addressed to me, Secretary Kukla. While I'm unable to attend the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing on Monday, May 9th, due to a scheduling conflict, she would like this letter to be read into the record and serve as a notice of strenuous opposition to the proposed change of use to amusement/recreation axe throwing at 5807 Detroit Avenue. This matter was originally scheduled for April 4th, 2022. She requested a postponement because the owner, Jim Matayek, had never reached out to me to explain his proposed project. He asked Mr. Matayek to meet with Chelsea Kovar, Economic Development Director for Northwest Neighborhood CDC. That meeting did not occur until she personally met with Mr. Matayek and Mr. Matayek's attorney and Ms. Kovac yesterday on Thursday, May 5th. She has spent a decade working on the master plan for the Gordon Square Area Arts District. Not only does she believe that axe throwing does not fit in with the master plan for the neighborhood, she is personally opposed to the use in which one individual could inflict bodily harm on another individual, whether intentionally or unintentionally. She has reviewed the list of addresses that received notifications for the hearing. While BZA provided notice to property owners in proximity to the property at 5807 Detroit Avenue, many of these owners are LLCs or landlords. Key community stakeholders, including leaders within the Gordon Square Arts District and nearby owner occupants, have not received notification. It would be disrespectful to the community to proceed without engagement. She strongly encourages Mr. Matayek to consider another use for the property at 5807 Detroit Avenue, as it is a unique historic property with a good deal of potential. While she does not see any circumstances in which she would change her mind, change her opposition to axe throwing. If Mr. Matayek wishes to proceed, it will be necessary to meet with the Gordon Square Arts District leaders for further discussion. And Jenny Spencer.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Faith, do you have any more questions?
No, I think I don't really have any more questions. I guess the thing that, the council person and the CDC are pretty strongly opposed. It may be because they just have not had an opportunity to meet and thoroughly go over the details of the business. I think city planning has described this as being something that, is a companion sort of business to the businesses that are directly adjacent. I don't know if we want to postpone and, make sure that the council person and the appellant have an opportunity to meet. I feel like, I feel like there needs to be a little more communication. And that's where I'm at.
Well, I feel like the councilwoman made it clear in her letter that at no point will she be convinced that axe throwing is safe. So I think further communication will not yield anything else. I think it was unfortunate that there was some kind of miscommunication to where, Jim actually did get a certificate of occupancy and opened his business, and it was running for a while. And if it weren't for, whatever happened that triggered it again, that we wouldn't be here. So I think out of, fairness for all parties involved, that we need to make a decision today. As you can see, it's been, his business is set up, been renovated, and he was open before until later. So I think we owe it to them to make a decision today.
Excuse me, I need to interrupt. I'm Jenny Spencer. I'm the council person. I left another meeting to join here. I appreciate that my letter was read, but I do feel I need an opportunity to speak, if I may. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's difficult over WebEx.
Councilwoman, you need to be sworn in.
Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
Jenny Spencer, Cleveland City Council member for Ward 15. My home address is 1903 West 73rd Street. I affirm.
Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman. We've read your letter in the record, so you can go ahead and highlight what you want to from that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm sorry I missed the previous testimony, so I may not be able to draw on that and offering some additional comments here. The Gordon Square Arts District is now a 2-decade-long initiative involving many, many long-term stakeholders who have crafted the vision for this community. I think it would be deeply disrespectful at this point to not let core stakeholders for the Gordon Square Arts District, including Cleveland Public Theater, which is half a block away. I've not heard anything from the Happy Dog, which is the adjacent property owner, one of the founders of the Gordon Square Arts District. They, whether they received a letter in the mail, I know Cleveland Public Theater did not. I think it's critically important to allow them an opportunity to understand what is being requested here. I do not think the Board of Zoning Appeals bears responsibility for this kind of mismanagement on the city permitting side that led to this really unfortunate timing matter. I do not think Mr. Matayek's representations are accurate. It is my understanding that the business has not been open. Furthermore, there is more than one variance being requested. I think we have not really had an appropriate opportunity to, I have a strenuous objection to the use because I feel that the community's voice has not been heard. I do not think it would be inappropriate to, however many weeks it would take to give these people who have invested 20 years of their lives in developing the Gordon Square Arts District to have a chance to be informed about this matter. The other variance being requested is parking, which is also a very hot topic in Gordon Square. So in effect, there has not been appropriate community engagement. To the extent that I have participated to lack of engagement, I apologize. Clearly, my planner and I, Adam Davenport, did not have appropriate communication before today's meeting, which I regret. I would ask for his assistance in pulling together a community meeting with nearby residents and the Gordon Square Arts District stakeholders. But, you know, I think that Mr. Matejek, I've been inside the building. To me, it did not look like an operating business at all. So I think there have been, I am also concerned about possible misrepresentation today on the part of the business owner. If the Board of Zoning Appeals would like to go and visit the business to get a sense of it themselves, you might want to do that. My impression is that this business has not been open and operating to date. And I would, you know, I am not prepared to go to my community and say that that they were not given a chance to understand this proposed use. It's too big of a use. It's too big of a change in use from the current to not merit appropriate community engagement with stakeholders who have been investing in the community for 20 years.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. All right, board, back to you.
Madam Chair, can I clear up one point because I'm sitting here? Just because the councilwoman, thank you for that, missed the beginning.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
This is Tracy Toroff with Jim. I've been sworn in. I just wanted to say he did not represent that he was already open, only that he had renovated and wanted to open, but for COVID. So I know the councilwoman wasn't here for that, so she took the comments from the board, that assumption that we were open, and she assumed that he was misrepresenting the board, but he was clear, just to clear up that confusion.
I agree with that.
Woman missed it.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Madam Chair, in our agenda notes, I read that the postponement from April 4th was made at the request of the councilwoman to allow for further time for review. And it seems, based on Ms. Spencer's statement, that that opportunity has not happened since April 4th. So I'm wondering, you know, why there wasn't that opportunity, why the meetings weren't made. Was that not enough time? Is she looking to postpone this again so that there can't be necessary meetings, or what are the wishes of the councilwoman at this time?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that invitation to add additional detail on that. I asked Mr. Matejek the week before April 4th to meet with Ms. Chelsea Kovar, who was our Economic Development Director for the ward, which includes the Gordon Square Arts District. That meeting did not occur for reasons I cannot fully explain. I wasn't party to those that back and forth between Mr. Matejek and Ms. Kovar. All I can say is that when I saw it come back on the agenda for today, I made sure I met with Ms. Kovar and Mr. Matejek and his attorneys last Thursday, but there has been no community engagement. So, you know, one small group meeting last Thursday morning does not constitute sufficient community engagement, and therefore there really is no choice but to postpone. I regret that, and I will assist to pull together a community meeting as soon as possible. I will also rely heavily on Ms. Kovar and Mr. Davenport to do that. But I mean, we're not going to delay this unnecessarily. We understand there's due process for Mr. Matejek, but there has been zero community engagement.
I'd like to say something. Thursday, the third word out of Jenny Spencer's mouth was, "I hate axes and you will not have axe throwing in my community." That's what she stated. She wants more time to go get more of her friends to jump against me. I have 100 signatures of people that live in the neighborhood that want to come throw axes. Chelsea Kovar, who lives in Parma, who doesn't come to Gordon Square to work, didn't have time to come meet with me. I asked her 5 times to please come to my place. Jenny was on vacation. That's fine. Chelsea could have came here and met with me. She chose not to.
I don't know if that's what I said, Jim, last Thursday or not. I was simply trying to make it clear I do have a personal concern about the proposed
Made it
use.
very clear.
But I don't know if that was an exact quote. That sounds a little bit hyperbolic there. But certainly there are key community leaders in the Gordon Square Arts District who absolutely need an opportunity to be made aware of this. And for all I know, they will love the use. I literally have no idea what they will say. I do know that they have not been engaged. And I also cannot speak to the breakdown in communication between Mr. Matayek and Ms. Kovar. But as the council person, there has been no community engagement, and that is not appropriate. And I apologize, and I will work to rectify that with the postponement.
I had an occupancy permit to open up over a year and a half ago, and every time I try to do something, I get resistance from Jenny Spencer or one of her friends that goes out of their way to try to stop me from
Okay,
making.
Mr. Matayek, all right, Mr. Matayek and the councilwoman, we're gonna shut this back and forth down now. But I need a motion from our board or
Madam Chair, I believe we have a request from Councilwoman Spencer for a postponement.
well, you need to I prefer not to postpone, so you need to make a motion for that.
All right. Madam Chair, given testimony from city planning and from Councilwoman and from the CDC, in fairness to the appellant, I would urge that parties move to expedite a meeting. I am particularly interested to hear feedback, not necessarily from the full Arts Council, but immediate neighbors, the Happy Dog, the business across the street. I think it's important that they weigh in on this. I don't think we hold prejudice against this business, but I think there needs to be a better understanding of it between stakeholders. So with that, I move that we accept Councilperson Spencer's request for postponement.
I will also add for discussion that the councilwoman has already asked for one postponement.
She asked for two.
So normally we have different parties that ask for postponements, not two from the same entity. So I will put that on the record.
Right.
Can I have a second for Ms. Faith's motion?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Barnes?
No.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
No.
Okay. Motion to postpone has been denied. Means we have to go forward with a motion either way on granting or denying this variance.
I'd like to say one last thing.
We're in the middle of a motion, sir.
All right.
Just give me a moment to collect my thoughts, since this is what I need to do here. It's part of my job. So given the fact that postponement has been declined, I will move so that we can put it on the table, that we accept the variances for calendar number 22-035.
I second it.
Can you repeat your motion again, Ms. Faith?
The motion, so that we can put it on the table for vote, is to accept the variances for calendar number 22-035.
Okay, and we have a second from Ms. Barnes. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
I'm not sure I understand.
Madam Chair, did we get hours of operation and days of the week? I'm not sure.
Yes, we did.
We did.
Okay.
This
All
is
right.
to vote, Madam Chair, please explain when she said we accept this.
Yeah, she's moving that we move forward with the variances. We approve the variances as requested.
Okay, I got it.
All right, Ms. Barnes with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Okay, Ms. Brown,
No.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
No.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
So this passes. Madam Chair, calendar 22-035 is granted. It'll be ratified next. Yeah, did we have a tie? I'm sorry.
No, it's a
We-
split.
Yeah,
It's a split
Yeah.
vote.
It's a split.
Yeah.
So this, believe that makes this a denial. The the Building and Housing decision, it remains unchanged, and the variance request is essentially denied. And this will be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter after ratification.
Adam of City Planning was in favor of this. I already have an occupancy permit. I have a parking lot agreement. This is unfair.
Spent $500,000 and he has a
This
permit
is just
approved
unfair.
by the building department. It's because of this is an equitable issue even. He had the understanding from the city. He only went forward and put in this money into the community because he had the understanding from the city, from the building department, that he had the approval. He has the documents here stamped that he had the occupancy. It wasn't an issue until he added the ice cream store. And this all happened prior to the councilwoman's being on council. So all the engagement happened prior.
Well, Madam Chair,
Every business around me is closed. I don't have one open business. I'm trying to create jobs in the city of Cleveland, and the councilwoman is trying to stop me from doing this.
Madam Chair, the appellant has the ability to request a rehearing between now and ratification date. If he would like to put this all in writing, he could feel free to request a rehearing, but at this time, there's been a motion.
Can we get a revote? One more time. This is not fair.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure that this discussion back and forth, but he has a permit to operate without the ice cream.
No, he doesn't. He's coming here he can operate the ice cream, but he can't operate the axe throwing.
No,
here
he
for the
said he
axe
had a
throwing.
permit for
permit was
axe
given for
throwing,
the
not
axe
ice
throwing.
cream.
When I applied for the ice cream store, that's when this all happened.
So Building and Housing is saying that his original, whatever they granted him before, that was not the case, that axe
But they
throwing
didn't revoke it.
is not
Sorry.
considered. Yeah, go
Madam
ahead,
Chair,
Liz.
that is a case that then he should take his permit to Building and Housing and proceed with getting the permit. You know, if he's saying that he has a certificate of occupancy, he has a permit giving him authorization to operate this business, then he should take that to Building and Housing to complete his the permit process.
Without the ice cream.
Correct.
And he also has, as Liz stated, the opportunity to reapply.
But at this time,
No, it's a rehearing. It will be a rehearing, not
Rehearing.
reapply.
Yes, that's what I meant. Sorry.
but according to this variance request today, it's been denied to establish the amusement recreation use.
Right. So we're essentially denying him the axe request. So even if he has the permit now, we will make it void today by your decision.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there's that. Okay.
This is Richard Riccardi, and as I said, don't want to be argumentative, but no, the permit was never granted for that use. And I'll just state it. If it was granted, we wouldn't be here. So,
No, I get that, but we're just saying that now he can't do it because his variance was denied. So now he can't have axe throwing in his establishment.
Here's a set of stamped plans from the city of Cleveland with axe throwing that was done during COVID. This is where everything,
Yeah, we understand that, but this is,
and the
we
money
we
spent.
cover the zoning issues, so you're gonna have to take that up with building and housing about that.
And Madam Chair, if he would like to request a rehearing reconsideration, he could submit those drawings. I don't believe that we have those here showing the stamp that he's speaking of. So he can ask for a rehearing if he would like between now and the ratification date with the information that he believes is new information that was not available at the hearing at this time.
Yeah, I would recommend that you do that.
I could send the appellant the rules and regulations so that he knows how to fashion that rehearing request, because I believe we need to move on.
Yes, because I have a meeting I have to go. Okay. That's our last case, right? We need to.
That was our last case. The appellant, as Liz said, can contact her, and we are on to old business, Madam Chair.
All right, old business 1 through 5 without objection, board.
Without objection.
Without objection.
All right, that's it.
That's it.
All right, we are convened. See you next week.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.